morning, everyone. Welcome to day one of Mining Indaba 2026. My name is Mumbezhi Copper and Financial Insight are back in Cape Town. This assignment is very simple. We are covering Zambian companies as well as the President of Zambia's keynote address. Just to put it in perspective, Zambia is coming off on the back of copper production, which hit a record 890,000 metric tons, which was an 8% increase from the 2024 production numbers.
I want to offer my gratitude to our hosts and really for honoring us to be part of this year's Mining Indaba. Thank you very much. And I can confirm that this forum truly symbolizes Africa's shared aspiration for prosperity and transformative partnerships. We just have to look at that carefully and we'll see the window of opportunity that is there on our continent with regards to mining metals.
So stay tuned to all our platforms and get to know Mining Indaba 2026.
Right, we're going to move straight on to Prospect Resources and Sam Hosack.
Thank you and good afternoon. I hope you can see everything. Now, my name is Sam Hosack. I'm from Prospect Resources. We like to think that we're leading the electrification race in Africa and certainly want to play a particular role in that. So it's a great honor to talk to you today. Today is about dealing and trying to present a pitch. So I'm going to take you through how we've done our deal. So I think the first thing that we wanted to point out is that at the time that we first joined this Dealmakers Den, we went on fairly soon after that to do a very significant transaction. So we presented a lithium project in Zimbabwe. We had invested heavily. We had done all the work that is required, several bankable feasibilities. And as you can see there, we did win the Dealmakers Den. And we did, in that particular year, or the subsequent year actually, 1,500% return. So I think we do know how to do a deal, and we do know how to find a good project, and we do know what it takes to get a good project and de-risk it. So on completion of our project, one of the most important things that we valued in doing a deal was responding to our shareholders. So we returned 96 cents on the dollar to our shareholders, and that was very nearly 450 million Aussie dollars, and it was an all-cash return. And the team put their heads together, and we had a very significant feeling about copper. Copper was something that we felt really strongly about in the next 10 years. It's key to every electrification concept that you might want to think about or talk about. And there is no place better in Africa than Zambia. Zambia has shown that they have a very pro approach to developing copper production. They've set themselves ambitious yet realistic targets of quadrupling their copper production by 2030. So if you're thinking about a jurisdiction and doing a deal, you need to think about a country that is going to make you welcome, and that is what Zambia is. As we think about Zambia, it's a huge country. The Copperbelt itself is over 100 years old, and some of the producers are over 100 years old, but we took ourselves up to the northwestern province, which is, frankly, only about 25 years old. And we went into a territory where we expected to find large-scale, open-pittable solutions. And we were able to acquire the Mumbezhi Copper Project. It's currently situated between Sentinel, which is owned by First Quantum Minerals, and Lumwana, which is owned by Barrick. and you can see there's also Kansanshi. But importantly, this part of Zambia has become a growth area for the Copperbelt. So I think in this part of Zambia, we're probably thinking about 900,000 tons of copper towards the end of this year. So as we think about copper and the future and a great jurisdiction in Zambia, this is where you need to be thinking. A lot of the work that we do, aside from drilling and exploring and discovering, is all the work that's required to de-risk a project. Ultimately, a project is extremely risky until you've done the work to prove out what you're going to do to mine it, what you're going to do to process it, what you're going to do to evacuate it. And for a project of this scale, we needed to confirm that classic froth flotation for our types of ores was going to work. And we had a tremendous response. We had a 95% recovery using classic froth flotation. We were very proud of the results we got for cobalt, almost 10%. But as with any really great project, you also need a bit of luck. And luck came in the form of a very unexpected 30 gram a ton gold concentrate within the floated copper. So the first thing we realized is that there is gold with the copper, and that's a very important differentiation. And the second thing we realized is that it was certainly payable. So what we did, and this was only in November, is we went back through 70 holes that we've drilled, and we retested around 32 of them, and 26 of those holes gave us anomalous or highly anomalous gold responses. And these aren't the types of gold grades that you might see in a gold mine, but I can assure you they're extremely impactful in reducing the cost of production. So our deal is emerging as a copper but multi-commodity opportunity. We've got cobalt, it grades really nicely in the concentrate. We've got gold, grades really nicely in the concentrate. And we've done about 20% of the test work that we need to do geologically to understand the gold. But importantly, we wanted to put ourselves on the map. So we took a step back with our partners. We welcomed last year First Quantum Minerals onto our register. And First Quantum Minerals understood what we were doing with our deposit and the fact that we were drilling it, doing all the met work. But what they really wanted was scale, super scale. And this particular target has an exploration target of 400 to 1 billion tons of copper or mineralization at 0.5%. So we needed to know where are we going to start mining, but where is the 10 to 15, 20 year life of mine type project coming? Because that's what this is. This is a large scale opportunity. So that work happened in 2025. We were very well supported by First Quantum Minerals, and we produced an exploration resource update of 173 million tons at 0.5%. And importantly, that now contains some copper equivalents both in gold and cobalt. And for the team, and for myself in particular, we've now got a real anchor project within it, which is called Nyungu Central. But we've also got 3 highly anomalous but very prospective targets which have the same scale and size from an electromagnetic perspective as Nyungu. So we're starting to really feel the sense that this is a 400 plus million ton style deposit. We're going to do the work, and we're going to work really hard with our partners. And so when we talk to our shareholders to keep things really sort of attentively captive, we need to have a really good workflow. So this year, we're going to go back, well, we have started, and have a look at all the other holes that we've drilled for copper, and we're re-assaying them for gold. That's a really, really important revenue kicker that this project's going to benefit from. We have recently updated the MRE, so that's one of the things that now has a tick. And starting in about May, a drill program that would like to fund for a couple of years, which looks at taking our resource from 175 odd million tons all the way up to the 400 million ton mark. Included in all of this is a maiden discovery that my team made last year. It's called West Mumbezhi, and so we'll put a little resource out for that. That's probably going to add some really nice numbers to the resource. And then finally, to try and bring all of this information that you're hearing together, we're going to try and put a scoping study together. So ladies and gentlemen, that's Prospect Resources. It's not our first gig. It's not our first time being up here. We have had some success. We didn't win last year. There was a very good candidate last year. But we have won the Dealmakers Den. And in the year that followed, we did actually return to our shareholders a reasonably healthy response and sum of money. So I'd like to just close by saying we have the team, we have the project, we love being in Zambia, we've got a great shareholder base, a proven track record, and I think if you're trying to do a deal, that's all I can think of that is really critical. So thank you very much for your time.
Great. Judges, 2 questions. Who wants to go?
Okay.
Awesome.
So I'll go first. I like your intro and ending, talking about how you won the Dealmakers Den, your 1,500% return historically, your expertise in de-risking projects significantly, your returns that are close to 100%, I think, on your previous project. So it's all commendable. Congratulations. I think based on that, I want to just zone in to Zambia as a jurisdiction. It's still a developing country with high income inequality and poverty rates, specifically in rural areas. So my question specifically is what impact will this project have on local communities, economic and development impact, and to what extent do you have Zambians on your team as well, skills development, job creation, etc. And you can talk historically as well. Thank you.
That is a great question. I couldn't have written it better. We're a 98% Zambian team. Zambia's been producing copper for over 100 years, and there's no better person than a Zambian to tell you about a sedimentary hosted deposit. So if you come to our site, we'll feed you in Shima, and we'll feed you all the things that you need to feel Zambian. But we're a very Zambian team. Of course, our population, socio-economic population, is very depressed. There has been limited additional employment opportunities. If you go back 20 years, there was no opportunities. But currently within that envelope that I showed you, around 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers, there's probably 50,000 direct jobs now. So there is a very deep impact that comes through mining.
Yeah.
One of the key skills, of course, is upskilling people, teaching people how to be miners, not just bringing our Copperbelt metallurgists and miners, but also upskilling our communities. And in particular on our site, given the fact that we do have very smart geologists who make up only about 10% of our staff, we place a big emphasis on women because that adds diversity, it adds empowerment within those communities, and it brings a balance that I think is important for our team. So yes, we need to think carefully about that. A needs analysis, if you do one, which we did last year, it's health, education, and water. Those are what people want, and those are very attainable through the efforts that even an exploration company can fund.
Thank you.
Thanks, judges.
Just one quick question on funding and funding of the next stages. Where do you stand? How much money in the till? What's the
Sure.
what's the work plan and how
Yes.
uses and sources?
Yes, good question. So we don't have any revenues. Our team are particularly good at spending money carefully, and our geologists like to spend it quite quickly. So yes, we'll need money. Last year we raised that through a strategic partnership. We did that with First Quantum Minerals, and I don't think this is connected to my presentation. Is this connected to my presentation? Did my team organize this? Well, or is this you?
Strategic distraction.
No, we're going to need to raise capital. We've had some shareholders on our register for 7 to 8 years. we know where the money will come from. We aren't looking for money, but it's going to take an effort to drill this out. And our team are like we have the bullets in the barrel. We're loaded. We're ready.
Are you using any of the new mining tech companies, exploring with AI, etc.?
Only two questions. Thanks so much, just to be fair to everyone.
Next one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please let's welcome Nana.
Based here on the continent reserve. Now tell me, from an operator's perspective, what is the single constraint to bringing copper supply online today? And I've seen your share price improve, but do investors really undertake and understand the African market and put that their money where their mouths are?
Sure, thank you. So our organization, Prospect Resources, we're actually developers. We're looking for where those resources might be. So when we assess the landscape with our skill sets, we're very much African focused. We're an African group, but capital is our big constraint. So we're listed on the ASX, and that access to capital unlocks what we're trying to achieve, which is predominantly African and sub-Saharan, right? Then we've got to take a look back and look at the jurisdictions, and then look at the commodities, and the incubation period from a discovery to bankability is about 6 years. So we're trying to think what's going to be ready in 6 years' time, and that's really quite a difficult bet. But copper has really been dominant in any assessment we've done. And we've been very focused in Zambia, which again has been very dominant as a jurisdiction in any assessment we've done. So we have to not only find the right team and the right capital, but we've got to be able to invest for a period of potentially 5-6 years. And the reason Zambia stands out, and maybe to answer your question, copper in particular, is because of their interest in supporting an increase in production by 2030. So yes, there's some aspirational component to what they've set the national agenda, but behind that is a massive alignment, cross-ministry alignment and cross-party alignment to uplift the nation. And the only way to do that is to lift copper production. Copper production in 1974, when it was the private sector, was about 700,000 tons a year. And in 2023, it was 700,000 tons. Okay, but the population's doubled, so the income per capita has halved. So what we're trying to do, and what we see Zambia trying to do, is make their pool easier to fish in. They're trying to attract investment from South America, from Congo, because it's evident looking back that investors haven't been prioritizing Zambia. So it's certainly that watershed moment. It's not a current concept. That changed 3 or 4 years ago, and we're starting to see significant investment into discoveries and exploration where all the risk happens. You're not going to find mines until the juniors turn up, right? And they want to have a 5-year plan minimum. So yeah, it's quite difficult. But from our perspective, the limitations are data. So Zambia, again, just speaking to where we are and why we like it, they're flying the country from a aeronautical perspective. They're mapping it. So they want to make data accessible. They want to unlock licenses. A lot of licenses get locked up in disputes and they stand idle. They want to rotate those. They want to encourage investors to utilize their licenses. And all of that bodes particularly well for mobilizing the discoveries that will lead to copper production. And then finally, the key point that I think was raised in the first comment was pathway to production. In my lifetime, which started my career in Zambia, it's around 20 years, and grades have halved, okay? And time to production has doubled. So we're seeing a really significant inflection here. And Zambia is seeking to address that in a responsible fashion. They're saying, what can we do to play our role in getting you to manage all your risks that you've figured out? Because the investment and the capital and the debt in particular, it doesn't flow if there's risk. So you've got to manage risk. And so whilst I've spoken primarily in the first person, that's how we're solving for copper, particularly in Zambia. And I hope that addresses your question.
Thank you, Sam. Sam, I'm sorry, your question.
I thought it was that.
Do you think that investors and policymakers underestimate the time, the risk, and the complexities of putting together copper mines, and how they actually work together to ensure that things are quicker?
I'm going to stay close to home again, if that's okay, and give you an exhibit. If you're going to build a copper mine, you're going to need a road, and you're going to need power and a community, and training and skills and water security. And so when a government looks at trying to increase a production base of its metal, as Zambia has done, they're not just looking at the Ministry of Mines going, give more licenses, because that's very myopic. What they're doing, and what has really impressed me, is they've had all the faculties of support that are required, including capital. But how is the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure going to enable development in that corridor? How are we going to evacuate the metals? Where are they going to go? So we've got concepts like the Lobito corridor coming together, and quite big cross-ministry or cross-ministerial buy-in to enable this. So yeah, traditionally, I think the miners had to figure out their own power, figure out their own roads, build their own communities, train their own people. And there's only so fast you can move if that's your entire responsibility. And I think what we've seen in Zambia is that they're making an effort to recognize what are the key enablers to make sure that production capacity can cope with an increase. So that's what I've noticed, and I think they've taken cognizance of the risks and put the mitigants together, and they might take till 2035 to get to 3 million tons of copper, but remember that's 4 times more than the last year. It's an incredible achievement any way you cut it. So I think staying close to home with Zambia, we've been quite impressed. I'm going to go down a different route. I'm going to say partnering. You got to integrate with your jurisdiction, and it doesn't help that you bring your ideals and expectations from wherever your capital emanates. I think you've got to listen carefully to what's needed on the ground and you've got to be prepared to really genuinely seek that social license. I think that is a phenomenal. It's a key point that is overlooked repetitively, and so I would say social upliftment is the key enabler that I would see for anything we hope to achieve in these countries.